Hey, Michael Smith here with the Bluefield Group, and today I'm joined by Nathan Robirds. Welcome back.
Thanks. Good to be here.
All right, and today we're talking about the pre-qualification process. All right, so Nathan, if we've got someone who knows that they're going to be looking for a home in the near future, right? Maybe they're a month out, 3 months out, 6 months out, something like that. We always tell them that a good first step is to go ahead and get connected with a lender, start talking about options, get the credit pulled, see if there are any obstacles there that need to be overcome.
Right.
And just start kind of going over what's my interest rate, what's my monthly payment, how much money do I need to save up, all those types of things.
Right.
So what, if that's on someone's mind, if this home buying process is on my horizon, what are some things that they need to start doing or thinking about?
Yeah, so the first thing that I always tell people is you need to call us. We need to have a conversation, whether that's to officially start the process or let's just have a cup of coffee and talk.
Okay.
Not every situation is the same. I have no idea how many loans I've done, but no two have been the same. So everybody's scenario is different.
That's the truth.
That is the absolute truth. So it's important that we go ahead and we have these conversations. So if there's something that's out there that we need to talk about before I pull credit, let's talk about it. Let's get that going. The other thing that I try to tell people about getting pre-qualified or talking to a lender earlier is establish a relationship too.
Right.
The more we talk, the more that we can establish that relationship, the better we're going to work together as well when the time comes for you to write an offer on a house.
Yeah, absolutely. And the earlier that you can start, there are sometimes some very simple things that you can do, like paying down a credit card balance just a little bit. That'll make a big difference in your credit score, help you get a much better interest rate. And if you know that earlier in the process, right, then you're not scrambling around to do it at the last minute. You can save a ton of money.
Absolutely.
Right.
So, a lot of time interest rates have a direct correlation to your credit score, right? Mm-hmm. And, we want to get the best interest rates we can for everybody because that makes your payment cheaper. That makes life easier 5 years from now when your payment's cheaper because your interest rate's lower. And
it can help you to qualify for a higher priced house
and more home.
Otherwise, right?
Yeah.
So if you're kind of stretching your budget, that little change in rate can sometimes get you just in the zone of the home that you really want.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
So what type of paperwork should people have ready?
So we still kind of operate on the 2, 2, and 2. So, 2 years tax returns, 2 years W-2s, 2 months bank statements, and then the fourth 2 obviously is 2 months worth of pay stubs. So we like to see that kind of stuff. Not every loan requires that. But it's good to kind of go ahead and start having that stuff prepared because some loans do require all those documents. So, if you have the rule of 2, so 2 months for bank statements and pay stubs, 2 years for tax returns and W-2s, if you can start getting those kind of things together, that's a big help up front when we start pre-qualifying.
Okay. So what are some other questions that you might ask someone when you're on the phone trying to pre-approve them?
Yeah, so the other thing that tends to come up a lot is where have you been living and how long have you been living there? Okay. We're required to have a 2-year history for living. Residence. So, if you've been leasing for a year, then we're going to want to know who your landlord is. If you've been leasing for, 2 years, but you've moved 3 times, then go ahead and have those 3 landlords together. So we need to verify to make sure you paid rent. Job stability is another one. We like to have 2 years history of job stability. Okay. Obviously, there are exceptions to that because people that graduate college and get their first job, that's okay.
In their field.
Yeah, that's okay. We love to hear about that up front too. But those are kind of some things that kind of go, I guess, kind of overlooked when people start applying.
Right. What about some other things that might pop up like alimony, child support, different things like that?
So those are big things, and a lot of times we don't find out about those till it's too late. Mm-hmm. But if you do have alimony, if you have child support, if you have separation maintenance, if you have anything like that, please be upfront because we will find it.
Right.
We will figure it out. So it's a big deal to go ahead and disclose that to us when we have those initial conversations. Okay. It's not the end of the world. I mean, we can help work through that. Maybe instead of a $200,000 house, we need to be looking for a little bit lower. But
it's better to know that going into it.
We need to know it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We absolutely have to know it.
So how long does the process take? I mean, let's say that we've got a client who wants to go look at homes tonight.
Yep.
We know homes are selling quick, and if they find something they really like, depending on price range and location, they're going to probably need to get an offer in tonight.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is this something that can be done over the phone?
Absolutely. We do a lot over the phone. So, and a lot of it's done after 5 o'clock. Okay. We do a lot of that after 5 because we know that you guys have to work. We know that you guys need to make a living.
I think you did one for me at like 8:30 last night, right?
It was 10 o'clock by the time we got it all done. That's right. So it's okay, and that's the way real estate works. And we're happy to have that opportunity to work for clients at 10 o'clock at night if need be to get them in that house.
Right.
So You know, a 5-minute conversation can go a long way. A lot of times it's just a matter of pulling credit, and let's talk about your job stability. Let's talk about where you've lived. Let's talk about what are you making. Where's your down payment coming from? We can knock all these out. And again, just it doesn't help to tell a lender something that we want to hear. We want to know the truth, because eventually it would come out in the wash anyway.
Yeah.
So we can do all that kind of stuff very quickly. 5-minute conversation. We can get you a pre-approval. Tomorrow we will want to start looking at your income docs, your assets.
Right.
Yeah, but if you need to buy a house tonight because you got a meeting at 6, let's go. Let's talk.
And really, I think it all comes down to the complexity of the borrower's file, right?
Oh,
so if you're
a
a W-2 employee, you've been at your job for 2 years, you've lived in the same house for 2 years. Easy peasy, right?
Easy
Phone
peasy.
call, pull credit, what's your income, what's your assets,
That's
let's
right.
go. Now, if you're self-employed and you own 13 different businesses and you file, you know, all kinds of different
I have just a touch of anxiety just hearing that, but we can get it done.
13 rental properties, right?
We do those a lot. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It's just more work, but we get them done.
Now, in that type of situation, ideally, we'd like to get that paperwork turned in and reviewed before we get a pre-qualification.
It's best.
Because a lot of times when you're self-employed or whatever your situation is, you write off a lot, and on paper you might show less income than what you think you're actually making.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. And a lot of the rules have changed from how we used to underwrite 5 years ago too. So what you might have qualified for 5 years ago, if you're doing your taxes the same way, there could be some differences there that would cause some heartburn with how much house you could buy.
Absolutely. So I guess the moral of the story is, if you think you're going to buy a house anytime in the next 12 months, let's go ahead and start the conversation. Feel free to reach out to us by phone or email. We'd love to get you connected with one of our agents and with Nathan, just to get the ball rolling and see realistically, what do I need to do to get prepared if I need to do anything? You know, what is my monthly payment going to be? How much money do I need to have? Not just down payment, but closing costs. Maybe reserves left over after closing, all those types of things. So let's start the conversation. We'd love to serve you guys. So please reach out. Like I said, we'll get you connected with Nathan.
Perfect.
And we'll go from there. So y'all, that's it for this one. If there's any other real estate related topics you'd like us to cover, please leave that in the comments below. Nathan, thank you so much for your time.
Good to see you again. Thank you.
And we'll see y'all on the next one.